The Hague, 2025. A summit that was supposed to reinforce unity may have just exposed the deepest cracks in the Western alliance. In a move that stunned analysts and outraged citizens across Europe, NATO leaders emerged from their latest summit with a radical decision. By 2035, all member nations will spend 5% of their GDP on defense. That's right. Not 2% as agreed in previous years. Not even 3, but 5. To put that into perspective, NATO's current collective military expenditure is about $1.5 trillion a year. If all members meet this new target, that figure could soar to nearly $10 trillion annually by 2035, more than the combined GDPs of Germany and France. And who do we have to thank for this historic escalation? A man who treats diplomacy like a WWE match. A man who crashes summits like a rock star crashes a frat party. Donald J. Trump. The 2025 NATO summit in The Hague was supposed to be a moment of reassurance, a message to adversaries like Russia and China that the alliance was stronger than ever. But instead, it became a stage for Trump's most theatrical performance yet. He arrived not as a guest, but as a self-proclaimed savior. The man who had supposedly brokered peace between Iran and Israel just days before. He swaggered into the summit with the air of a conquering emperor, expecting applause. And he got it. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte, the former Dutch Prime Minister turned transatlantic flatterer-in-chief, practically rolled out a red carpet of compliments. He even referred to Trump on the record as Daddy. No, seriously. Sometimes, Rutte said, Daddy has to use strong language. Yes, friends. The Secretary General of NATO referred to the former and now re-elected President of the United States as Daddy. Trump, of course, lapped it up. He joked about beating misbehaving children, he basked in the praise, and more importantly, he seized the opportunity to reshape NATO in his image. The result? A dramatic decision to more than double defense spending across the alliance. Let's look at the numbers. Turkey, for instance, currently spends around 20 to 22 billion on defense. Under the new targets, that could swell to 70 billion or even 100 billion. Canada, Germany, Italy, all nations hovering around the 1.5 to 2% mark, now face the political nightmare of justifying this massive surge in military budgets to populations struggling with inflation, housing crises, and climate disasters. Some countries will need to increase military spending by over 200% in the next decade. And for what? Let's be honest. This is not a budget adjustment. This is a transformation of Western economic priorities. Of the 5% GDP allocation, 3.5% will go directly to military operations, weapons, munitions, personnel, exercises. The remaining 1.5%? Infrastructure, air bases, cybersecurity, intelligence networks. This is a full-blown military-industrial revolution, and it's being pushed forward not because of consensus, but because of fear. Because here's what most media won't say. This wasn't a decision made in unity. It was made under threat. Trump's aides reportedly told NATO members, either raise your defense spending or forget Article 5, forget the United States, forget NATO. Rutte, ever the diplomat, translated that message for European ears. But the meaning was clear. Pay up or the US walks. Only one country refused to bow, Spain. Currently spending just over 1.2% of GDP on defense, Spain rejected the 5% target outright. Why? Because Madrid knows it's not Russia they'll be fighting. Spain is on the southern fringe of Europe, closer to Morocco and Algeria than to Moscow. Why should they quadruple defense spending to confront a hypothetical Russian invasion that may never come? Trump, predictably, lost his temper. He threatened tariffs, punishment, trade wars. But there's one problem. Spain is part of the European Union. Trump can't just slap tariffs on one EU member without hitting them all. It was political theater, nothing more. But it proved a point. This is no longer about security, it's about submission. Remember Article 5? The sacred heart of NATO? The idea that an attack on one is an attack on all? It was invoked just once, after 9/11s, when the US was attacked by terrorists, not a nation-state. And even then, it was symbolic. Now, with Russia probing NATO's eastern flank, with Finland and the Baltics feeling the heat, that promise is starting to crumble. Trump was asked on Air Force One whether he would honor Article 5 if Russia attacked Estonia or Poland. His answer? There are many definitions of Article 5, he said. Many interpretations. Translation? Don't count on us. Trump's logic is transactional. He's made it clear. If you don't pay your fair share, if you don't hit 5%, if you don't buy American weapons, then you're on your own. Worse still, Trump openly stated that if a NATO member like Estonia doesn't pay enough, he might encourage Russia to invade them. Yes, the President of the United States has effectively threatened to greenlight Russian aggression. How did we get here? How did the leader of the free world become NATO's biggest risk? Let's not kid ourselves. Behind closed doors, European leaders are terrified. They're racing to rearm, not just because of Russia, but because of the looming shadow of a second Trump presidency. France, Germany, and even Canada are quietly making plans for a post-American NATO. They're investing in independent defense systems. They're stockpiling arms. They're even discussing a future European army, because they know, once Trump is gone, they can rebuild. But if he stays, NATO may not survive. The 2025 Hague summit will go down as one of the strangest in NATO's history. On one hand, record-breaking commitments to defense. On the other, open questions about whether the United States would actually defend its allies. It's like buying insurance from a company that openly admits it might not pay out when disaster strikes. Trump walked away from the summit victorious. He got the headlines. He got the praise. He got the budget increases. But what did NATO lose in the process? Maybe its soul. Let's end where we began. NATO is about to pour up to $10 trillion into defense, weapons, bases, cybersecurity, missiles, all to prepare for a war that might not come, and with an ally who might not show up. The alliance was founded on shared values and mutual defense. But now, it's surviving on fear, flattery, and financial coercion. The real question is not whether NATO can afford to spend 5% of its GDP on defense. It's whether it can afford to spend that much without America's full commitment. Or worse, with America actively working against it. This was not just another summit. It may have been NATO's most expensive gamble yet. And the house always wins. Until next time, stay sharp, stay informed, and question everything. If this video gave you a new perspective, tap like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this. And hey, I'd love to hear your thoughts below. Is NATO stronger or just spending more?